Are you happy in your business? Now, I have had my share of emotional ups and downs in my 20 years of being a solo entrepreneur coach, and the patterns I've seen in myself and in my clients is that those downs are usually when I was personally feeling unfulfilled. Sometimes it was because a launch that flopped, and sometimes it was just life and had nothing to do with business. But those ups, oh boy, those are the times when I was feeling my most authentic and completely aligned to my purpose, or when I just felt like I was rocking that work-life balance. I would be thinking I could do this all day long and never feel tired. One of my loves is sharing what works for me and what has been working for my clients to achieve this very feeling, full of passion, happiness, peace, and freedom. So I decided to create a private podcast for coaches. Maybe you just want to develop better communication skills that boosts engagement, leads to better results, and makes you feel like you're actually making a difference in the lives of the people you serve. Then you're invited too. We talk about this and more in the UBU private podcast for coaches. Whether you're a mentor, a parent, or run a client-focused business, coaching skills benefit everyone and anyone who wants to communicate in a way that builds relationships. Fall in love with your life and business again. Click the link in the show notes for your invitation to join us right now. Then come back and enjoy this episode. Hey, difference maker, if you were not feeling fulfilled in your business, maybe you aren't sure if you're on the right path, or maybe you definitely know you're on the wrong path. You just want your power back, but you don't know where to start. So let's fix that. Today, I'm talking about the 3 reasons why ignoring your personality profile is no longer an option in your business. Let's go ahead and get started. It's time to stop comparing yourself to others and plug in to what is uniquely you. Welcome to Unbox Your Personality, the podcast for coaches, creatives, and educators like you who understand that your happiness makes you more effective at what you do, bringing out the best in others. I'm Jen P. Higgins, personality strategist and Enneagram fluff remover. Get laser focused on who you are and who you aren't, so you're free to make the impact you were born to make. And have fun doing it. Your personality is your business. So let's get down to business. You know, it really surprises me at how many people look at personality tests as something that's just interesting or something that's just nice to know. And my guess is that they got the results and they just didn't know what to do with them. Personality tests can definitely be fun. Like, I just retook my Disney Princess quiz and I got Ariel. I low-key wish I got Merida, but I'm happy with Ariel. But when you feel compelled to click that link on social media for that quiz to find out which Hogwarts house am I in or what hormone type, that quiz keeps popping up on my news feed, and I'm wondering why they're calling me out on my hot and flashy era of my life. But on a subconscious level, we all know that we don't know everything about ourselves. There's something that's still missing, some insight that's just within our grasp. And maybe, just maybe, this quiz is going to give me that insight. It's going to give me that answer or that validation. I want you to go back in time with me when my son was 2.5 years old. He started showing signs of autism, and I was completely clueless. I had no idea what autism was at the time, and support and awareness just wasn't what it was back then like it is today. I was pretty sure that what I was looking at was a really quirky personality, and I loved him all the more for it because I think weird is cool. But then there were some really pretty disruptive situations, more than I'd really like to admit. And we knew we just had to get him assessed. We had to get him professionally evaluated because we needed to know why his behavior was becoming more and more uncontrollable and unpredictable. Now, once we got the official autism diagnosis, there was a lot of validation in that. It was like, oh, okay, that explains that, and that's why this. And this is the first feeling that my clients or my friends or whoever, whenever I'm going over their personality report with them, they're like, oh my gosh, that is so me. Maybe you can relate to that feeling. But then comes a whole new set of questions, and it usually starts with, well, now what? And the same was with my son. We were told that he was going to need medication, that he was going to need therapy, that we were going to have to change our expectations and mourn the loss of that picture that we had of parenthood, that we had always imagined. They told us that he was going to need modifications at school, and we needed to create systems at home that were going to give him that consistent support no matter what environment that he was in, until this new normal became our regular normal. And what happened next is what really surprised me. I started recognizing patterns in his behavior that others couldn't see or couldn't even understand. And maybe it's mama instinct, I'm not sure, but I knew every afternoon I needed to duck when I picked him up because I was going to get things thrown at me. I knew that if there was a writing assignment that day, that I was going to get a report home because pencils would be broken, papers would be ripped, and it would be really inconvenient for the teacher if that teacher did not have extras on hand. Now, of course, there were much more nuanced patterns that would lead to much dire consequences if I hadn't pointed them out. But I was made to feel that I was crazy, that I was not being realistic, or that I was in denial. But what was undeniable was that my strategies for him at home were working. They were helping him regulate his body. They were helping him regulate his emotions. Theirs were not. For whatever reason, he had amazing teachers, so I'm not dogging on them. But once I could tell which behaviors were his autism and which were his personality, they were just him, I had so much more confidence to fight the systems that were holding him back. And eventually, I just took matters into my own hands and I started homeschooling him with a very intentional game plan that was tailored to his needs, without him getting distracted by what the other kids in the classroom were doing. Really, without either of us being distracted by that comparison game. Now, when you're studying your personality or working with a personality strategist like me, you're going to start recognizing these kinds of patterns, even the nuanced ones that nobody else can see. You're going to start recognizing what causes stress in your life and what causes the security and the calmness in your life. And then you're going to feel so much more confident, so much more in control of yourself. It's going to help you make those really important decisions in your business without second guessing. And you're going to have very meaningful relationships, business and personal, that have healthy boundaries. That's going to reduce your anxieties and it's going to reduce the disappointments that you experience. Now, I would be lying if I didn't admit that it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. It was definitely a struggle with my son, and there were so many times that I felt like a failure as a mom while the progress was slow. I needed to find that balance between discipline and the freedom for him to just be a kid, and that was really hard to find. And when you get your personality results, you might kind of just skim right over those weaknesses, because usually those are the places in our life where we're not very disciplined and not very self-aware. But the truth is that weaknesses are just unhealthy strengths. And this is the number one reason why you need to know about your personality for your business. Your weaknesses and blind spots can hold you back from reaching your true potential. When there is that imbalance of two parts of you, they're going to fight. They're going to duke it out and completely drain your energy. until you find that point of synergy. When you have two seemingly opposite, different aspects of yourself come together, work together, and boom, that is the point where you feel unstoppable and your power has been unleashed. Maybe you're experiencing struggles in your business life and in your personal life, and you're trying to work on both, but you're still feeling like a failure even though you're working so hard, you're putting so much effort into it. You just need a game plan that is tailored to your needs, that's going to bring those two things together and create that synergy, that feeling of flow that you're looking for. Here are the things that you need to know about your personality in order to do that. Go ahead and grab a pencil. The first thing you need to know are your natural talents and abilities. These are your strengths. Number 2, you need to know your natural drives and temperament. These are your motivations and your default coping strategies that you do unconsciously. And then number 3, your conditioned thoughts and your conditioned behaviors. This is the nurtured part of your personality. If there's a gap between what comes natural to you and what has been nurtured into you, you're going to feel off balance. You're going to feel out of alignment. You're probably going to feel fake. That's that imposter syndrome, that inauthentic energy, and that affects the success of your business. But Jen, I see fake people successful all the time, everywhere, online, in my newsfeed. And you can smell that fakeness a mile away, am I right? There's not as much trust and rapport there. This is reason number 2 why knowing your personality matters. Because if you don't know yourself, you're not even going to know when you're being inauthentic. But everyone else is going to sense it, even if they can't quite put their finger on what it is that's repelling them. They're going to say, I don't know what's going on with that John Doe, but I don't like him. There's something going on there. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't trust him. And the truth is, there's almost always a hidden story behind those success stories, and they are masking them. It's not always necessarily a scandal, of course, but what sacrifices are they making for that success that they're showing you that maybe they don't want you to know about? Is it debt? Is it burnout? Compromised integrity? Strained relationships? Are they truly happy? When you recognize the patterns of your personality and the gaps between your nature and your nurture that aren't serving you or not serving other people, you can create a game plan around that addresses each of those issues. So that gap closes, and there we go with that synergy again. And you're going to start seeing progress if you stick to the plan. Because there's no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme, right? It doesn't happen overnight. And the ones that do happen overnight, they don't last very long. And it didn't happen overnight for my son either. But eventually, we started seeing the fruit of our efforts the longer we stuck to his plan. First, it was in tiny things, like when he was 4, he said his first complete sentence. And then when he was 10, I caught him in a tree and I freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you climb that tree? And when he was 15, we went on vacation and rented bikes. They didn't have training wheels. And guess what? Eventually, he wanted to keep up with us and he got on the bike and rode the bike without the training wheels. He's 19 now. He attends college without accommodations. He makes his own money with his art. Yes, he started his own business. And guess what? He is no longer on medication and he doesn't have diet restrictions anymore. He is happy as a clam, living his best life, just being himself. And that warms this Enneagram Type 7 mama. And that's reason number 3, why you need to know your personality for your business. Happiness, joy, contentment, satisfaction, whichever of those words resonate with you the most. When you get to fully express yourself and be comfortable in your own skin and feel like you're making a difference through a business that's completely lined up to your values, to your motivations, and to your strengths, now that is fire. And honestly, now when I look at my son, all I see is his personality. I don't see a bit of his autism. Now, of course, it's still there, but it is just fully integrated into himself now. And when I think back of the future that I had projected for him when he was still just a toddler versus now, I am so blown away. It is way more than I could have ever imagined. And I'm a pretty optimistic person. And you can have the same thing for you in your life and in your business. You just need a game plan. So here's a little bonus something to get you started right now. You still have that pencil, right? Warm up that wrist. This is the exact process that I teach my students and I walk my clients through in my mentorship program. When I go back and I think about the game plan that I had developed for my son, it had 3 phases. The first phase is assessment and evaluation. I call this typing mode. And when you are in typing mode, you're making observations about your personality style, the good, bad, and the ugly, until you get that validation or the insights that you need, and you get to that point where you're saying, that's totally me. But now what? Then you move on to the second step, and that is deconditioning. I call this growing mode. And it's finding those gaps like your blind spots, perspectives that aren't serving you, creating systems, creating strategies and boundaries that are going to support your development until you're feeling more balanced and until you're feeling more aligned. And then the third phase, I call this power mode. This is when your life and business get infinitely easier. You can handle stress more quickly, and you have so much joy in your life because you're working with your personality instead of fighting against it. Now, in my 20 years of experience, I have access to a lot of personality psychology, but the primary tool that I use in my business is the Enneagram. I'm a certified Enneagram life coach, and being able to bring that into my business with my clients has made all the difference in the world for us to be on the same vocabulary and speak the same language. I even wrote a book about it. It's called The Secret to Being You, Using Brain Science and the 9 Acknowledgement Languages to Unbox Your Enneagram. And that's my method for teaching you how to understand your unique personality style beyond the 9 stereotypes, and ultimately how to create a game plan that helps you relate and communicate to others better. As a parent, you might understand that not raising my son to the best of my ability just wasn't an option. I had to learn about his style. I had to learn about my style, and I had to make our personality differences work. They just had to work together if we were going to reach each of those milestones. And if you view your business in the same way, then ignoring your personality game plan, that must also be not an option. You can't ignore it. Your personality style is the key to how you communicate and connect in your business. It affects your branding, it affects your messaging, and ultimately, it affects the quality of your conversions, and can be the very thing that makes or breaks whether or not you reach those milestones in your business. Integrating your business personality is going to attract those unicorn clients, the ones that you actually enjoy serving, not those that make you feel like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. That's the stuff that leads to burnout and bitterness, and those are the things that rob you of your joy. So as a recap, we've been talking about the 3 reasons why you cannot ignore your personality profile results when it comes to your business. If you want to be able to reach your true potential, if you want to be authentic AF, yeah, my kids are cringing at me for that one. And if you want to build a business that lights your happiness on fire, then you need a personality game plan. And if you want to skip the Googling and all the hemming and hawing and just jump right into having a game plan that's tailored to your personality, then I want to invite you to work with me in my UBU Business Mentorship Program. UBU stands for Unbox University. Get it? UBU. And together, you're going to unbox yourself and unleash your power.
Thank you for listening, subscribing, and reviewing the Unbox Your Personality podcast. To learn more about yourself, go to powercoachjen.com. Find out how you are different so you can make your difference.